President Biden reminding us all what really matters as he heads to Maine to pay respect to the victims of the deadliest mass shooting in the United States this year. All that and more now on Graf's Grievances. President Joe Biden and the First Lady heading to Maine Friday to pay their respects after 18 people were killed and more than a dozen wounded in a mass shooting there last week. Their somber visit coming after the gunman responsible for the horrific attack was found dead after a terrifying two-day manhunt that stretched across the state and forced thousands to remain in their homes. Over the course of his presidency, Biden has repeatedly called on Congress to pass tougher gun control laws and ban assault weapons. But with Republicans in charge of the House and Democrats only narrowly in control of the Senate, major legislation to address this uniquely American tragedy has failed to materialize. Last year, President Biden did, however, secure the passage of a bipartisan bill to toughen background checks for those 18 to 21 years old and help states implement red flag laws to keep firearms out of the hands of domestic violence offenders and those who are mentally ill. Nevertheless, America's gun violence epidemic has continued unabated. Gun violence remains the #1 killer of children in the United States. And this year alone, there have been more than 580 mass shootings in America, according to the Gun Violence Archives, the nonprofit defining mass shootings as incidents in which 4 or more people are shot, excluding the shooter. As the site of the deadliest mass shooting so far this year, Maine's weak gun laws are also getting renewed attention, despite Democrats controlling the governor's mansion and both chambers of the state legislature. The Pine Tree State has long had the highest gun ownership rate in the nation, according to the RAND organization. But despite the state's high rate of gun ownership, gun violence in Maine is well below the national average, according to the CDC. Maine allows most adults to carry a concealed weapon in public without a permit, and has a very weak version of a red flag law that they call a yellow flag law. Yet irrespective of the permissive gun laws in Maine, that appear to have at least partially been responsible for not stopping the mass shooting in Lewiston last week, gun violence is a national problem that must be addressed as such. It matters very little if one state or jurisdiction has tough gun laws if the surrounding states or counties have weak firearm controls. And this simple reality of interstate commerce is repeatedly ignored by Republicans who seem to take glee in pointing to high crime in liberal cities with tough gun control as evidence that gun control does not work. Of course, the guns used to commit these crimes are largely purchased out of state in places with weak gun laws. And disappointingly, Republicans are not alone in their opposition to banning the most commonly used weapon in mass shootings. Last year, 5 House Democrats voted with all but 2 Republicans against a national assault weapons ban. And while the legislation still narrowly passed the Democratic-controlled House, it lacked enough votes to pass the evenly divided Senate. Among those against an assault weapons ban are Maine's 2 U.S. senators, Susan Collins and Angus King. The former, a moderate Republican, while the latter an independent who caucuses with the Democrats. Yet even after the deadliest mass shooting in their state's history, which took the lives of 18 of their fellow Mainers by an assault-style rifle, both Collins and King still do not support an assault weapons ban. The cowardliness of these two cannot be overstated. However, unlike them, one of Maine's two Democratic Congress members, Jared Golden, reversing his position after the massacre in his district last week, saying he now supports an assault weapons ban. And it will only be the result of more courage by mostly Republican lawmakers that America has any hopes of stopping the needless slaughter of tens of thousands of its citizens by gun violence each year. Thank you for watching Graph's Grievances. Let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, share, and join me tomorrow for more.